Greetings. This is a video on one of the most important procedures in Maple, the eval procedure. It is what you think it is, to evaluate, useful for evaluating a set or list of expressions given a set of conditions. Let's get started. Okay, it means what it says. For example, I want to get the A value, given the fact that I want to evaluate A, where A is equivalent to X times Y. It returns it that the A value is X times Y. What's even more useful is where it does it with a series of expressions. For example, if I want to evaluate X plus Y, given that X is equal to alpha, then it will return X plus Y. Okay. Notice that neither A nor X actually have changed their values. That's the advantage of using eval for an expression. Here's another example. What if we have this set of equivalences? There we are. Then we can evaluate again A given this set of equivalences, and it will pick out the A and properly substitute it into A. The same thing is true. And so what often I like to do is say A value is the value of A given these set of equivalences. Here's one that I use quite frequently is given a solution and I want to change the expressions in the solution, I can say my example from my solution, which is where I evaluate my solution, given the fact that X is now going to be equal to big X, and Y is going to be equal to big Y. Now I have a particular solution that works only when X is big X, Y is big Y. But again, is solutions different? No. When I ask what is the solutions, it still is X over Y. Now, what you might want to say is, what if I have a sequence of expressions, more than one expression, and that I want to evaluate it given the fact that A and B are something other than A and B? I suggest doing the followings. Say the values are going to be where we evaluate this as a list of expressions, given that A is equal to X and B is equal to Y. The output will be exactly as A plus B and A minus B. What you don't want it to do is to evaluate the expressions as a set because you'll notice that what Maple will do is it will reorder the output in the set, and you will get confused because you're expecting the first answer to be the answer of the first expression. There's a big difference between an expression and evaluating. Go. There's a big difference between evaluating an expression using the eval procedure and looking There's a big difference between using the eval procedure and creating a function. The eval procedure is used to evaluate an expression through a set of equivalences. A function is used to evaluate where you are passing the equivalence value. For example, if I have my expression, I have to pass it the information, either as a list or a set, of what X and Y are. But with my function, then it needs to know that X is the first term that you are essentially passing. But with a function, X has to be the first item and Y has to be the second. Of course, what one can do is take an expression and turn it into a function Of course, what one can do is make a function out of an expression using the make function procedure since 2023, before it was called unapply. For example, make function from my expression, where I'm going to say there's the first term and there's the second term. Probably the most useful thing for eval is to be able to use the solutions from solving a set of equations to evaluate other entities, or to even extract out the values themselves. For example, solutions. We want to solve this set of equations for the unknowns. In this particular case, I have to tell it what the unknowns are, otherwise it will choose A and B as a possible set of unknowns. And there are our solutions. How good are these solutions? Well, now we can actually evaluate our equations again, given this set of solutions. And again, I'm going to, in this particular case, give it as a list of equations given the set of solutions, and it shows that the equations are satisfied given the set of solutions. In addition, now I can actually extract out my solutions. For example, I can say my X solution is where I evaluate X given our solutions, and our Y solution is where I evaluate Y from our solutions. And now I actually have those separate and labeled. At this point, I will note that some people like to use the procedure assign to assign the solutions to the variables. I'm not a big fan of that because it can lead to all sorts of complications if you don't reassign or unassign the variables. For example, let's go back to this particular example, and there are solutions. And if we assign our solutions, well, the beautiful thing is I can write X and Y, and they will write the type these all out. The problem is if I then want to create a set of equations where I want to solve, say, X minus 2 times Y equals C, and X plus 3 times Y equals D for X and Y, we end up getting errors, and that's because X and Y are a solution. In fact, if I say, well, what is, copy, paste, if I say, what is this, you'll notice it has already substituted in what X and Y is. I can't use X and Y as variables. So in my opinion, the best practice is not to use the assign procedure, but rather to assign the solutions individually to some other named expression. So for example, I do this, and then I can say, well, my X solution is where I've evaluated for X from our solutions, and now our X solution is just that. If you have other requests, please leave a comment down below. Again, you can go to my website, gould.prof. There you can find information about other Maple Learn videos and documents, a whole slew of them, along with my new project, which is going to teach physics through Maple.